Hi there. So today I'm going to show you my 2019 Strickplaner, and I'll give you a comparison between the 2018 Strickplaner and the 2019 Strickplaner, just so you can see what they're both like and how they compare to each other, which is especially useful if you currently have the 2018 and you're not sure if you want the 2019. This is Sammy. I tried to move him a couple of times before I turned the camera on, but it didn't matter. He just kept coming back. So he's here for the video too. So when I ordered the 2019 Strickplaner, I ordered the package that came with the functional stickers and the pen loop. So I haven't actually filled anything in or done anything in this planner except attach the pen loop, because if I didn't attach it, I would have lost it by the end of the year. I also have a planner or a pen loop on my 2018 planner, but it's one I found myself. I think I found it at Michael's. And this is the pen I like to use in my planners. It is a friction ball slim 0.38 millimeter nib. So both planners are lovely on the outside. The 2018 planner is a very smooth texture finish, very much like a hardcover moleskin or Leuchtturm, if you're familiar with those notebooks. And the 2019 is textured, almost feels like a grass cloth. It's very nice. It's very nice. It's a slightly grayish color with white embossing, but I like it. It's still like very elegant looking. Okay, you can have the pen. And it's nice, and it has the year on the spine. It still has the same berry color and the same elastic for keeping the book closed when it goes in your purse. One thing to note is it doesn't have the rounded corners, which I kind of like the rounded corners. They're not so sharp. When I reach into my purse to grab my book, I don't get poked by the rounded corners. So that is one change that I don't love, but I can certainly live with. So when you open the book, I have some sticky notes on my 2018 planner. I use this for notes, but the end papers are the same. The lovely artwork done by Julie at Symposi Press. I was really happy that Martina chose to keep those because I think they're really pretty and I really like them. On the inside, we've got our personal information page, then an explanation of how to use the planner. Then we've got metric conversions, which really comes in handy when you're knitting, time zones, and I tend to use the yearly overview more as a like a gratitude log. I write stuff I'm grateful for, and I haven't put anything in the upcoming 2019 one. And then from there, both journals get into goals. You will see that Martina changed the font, but I really like the new font. I think it's really crisp looking, very contemporary. I like it a lot. So this is the page for planning out yearly goals. It has not changed. The quarterly planning page really has not changed. It's also really nice. I don't know, something feels like different up here, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's, maybe it's just that the fonts are different. I'm not sure. And then there's the tracking page for whatever you want to track for that quarter. And then we get into a weekly spread. And the weekly spread is basically the same when you look at it initially. And then when you look closer, you see that where she had goals at the beginning of each week, she's now just put an arrow. And I guess that's to be more accommodating for people who maybe don't use this to keep track of goals, but use it to keep track of important notes, weekly themes, shopping list, dinner menus, I have no idea, but whatever it is, that's changed. And here where she had priority A, priority B, priority C, it's been changed to urgent and important, important and other. And I don't really have any rhyme or reason. I just write down what needs to be done. She has the previous Sunday is still here. I never really use that. I always just kind of put my meal plan in there. And that's it. It's still like an amazing, useful, fantastic setup. And the next quarter is exactly the same, and then quarter 3 is exactly the same until we get to the end of the year. Let's see. So at the end of the year, you get the first week going into the following year. And then we have a yearly reflection page, which I've started to fill it a little bit because the year's 3/4 over. So, and then in the new version, she also gives you a page to forward plan your goals for 2020, which is pretty good, and a spare notes page. Then a page about knitting tools. There are fewer note pages in the 2019 version, but more knitting pages. So this is the knitting project index for 2019 versus the knitting idea and project index for 2018, which I honestly didn't really use very much because I tend to do my designing and knitting, like I keep track of that all digitally. Instead of overview, she calls it timeline here, but it's basically exactly the same thing. And she even gives you like a little key so that you can write down the projects that you're working on and use the key to show where you're at in each project. This is so fabulous if you need to track holiday knitting, like if you're knitting for birthdays, if you're knitting for Christmas, if you're knitting teacher gifts for the end of the year, if you're whatever it is that you like to knit for, or when you gift knitting to other people. This is great for keeping track of that because you can keep track of when you need to start, when you need to finish, when you need the yarn, everything. The same paper quality is still great. I still really like the paper quality. And then we've got knitting ideas, which is, I guess, similar to your Ravelry queue. If you're out and about and you see something and you get inspiration, you can write down the pattern name, where to find it, who designed it, or what yarn you saw that you really liked, and you can put it all here. There's more knitting ideas in the new version of the book. And then we have some knitting projects. Still knitting project, and you can see I don't really make good use of that. As I said, I keep track of most of my knitting digitally and online. I don't use my planner for it. This is the pattern for the book cover for 2020. And then another notes page, and then a page for yarn purchases, which again, I don't really track in here either. And then there's a wish list, which in my version, I've turned into a waiting list. So every time I order something online, I make a note of it here. Once a week on Sunday, I just check to see what's outstanding, how long is it outstanding, do I need to follow up, or I check it off if I've received it. And in addition to wish lists for yarn, in the 2019 book, she's also added knitting books, accessories. You can list Fiber Festival events, knitting podcasts and blogs, yarn stores, and online shops. This is one of my favorite additions to 2019. She's added pages for tracking the clothing sizes of people you knit for. So this is so, like, I can keep people's foot sizes, I can keep people's sleeve length, I can keep everything I need to knit for people who I like to knit for, which I think is a great addition to this. Now we get to the list index, and I guess because she's added extra knitting project pages and the sizing information, this is where that has come at a cost of the list pages. I tend to make good use of my list pages, but I'm pretty sure I'll still have enough. So lists and notes. Let's see, so I have some lists here, pattern names, videos I need to make, tattoos, stuff I use for my business, 2019 release dates, my 2018 release schedule, packing list for a trip we took, stuff like that, podcasts that I'm in the middle of listening to, my master to-do list goes on the first big list page. Sammy, dude. So yeah, I'm up to 22 here. So we're only short by like 2 or 4 list pages in the 2019 version. Then there's another tracker here, I guess, for keeping track of knitting projects or any other project that you might have going on in your life. Maybe like a home renovation project, maybe like a wardrobe project, anything that you're working on that you need to, that has an end date or has various steps that need to happen at certain times. There's a cool little chart here for helping to keep track of that. Then we've got some grid paper. I use that to track household stuff that has to happen, monthly and less frequently than monthly tasks that have to happen. Forward planning for the rest of, for 2019, forward planning for the rest of 2018. I track my pet's health, stuff that I need to buy for people in my family, our own health tracker, and that's pretty much it until you get to the end. There's also dotted grid paper, which is really great, especially if you like bullet journaling at all. There's a room for a spot for contacts. I don't use any of that. All of my contacts exist online and in the cloud. I don't really have anything that I need to keep separate. And then the schedules, which this year were laid out landscape, are now laid out portrait. So, which is fine. I mean, I was using them a little bit as a content calendar anyway. So now it just takes up less space. I actually think it's a much better use of space that way. And then there's some sock math for you. And then what I tend to do is I take these advertising pages that are at the end and I fold them and tape them so that I have pockets to put paperwork, like my driver's license is coming up for renewal and I've got to pick up something for one of my kids, and the stickers that came with the planner can go in there. So that tends to be what I use that for. So, and then at the back we've got Julie's end papers again, which are lovely. And Martina has moved the needle size conversion to this side. So if you stick an envelope or anything useful onto the back cover, you don't lose the needle conversion. And there's a super handy gauge ruler here. So that is my review of the 2018 versus 2019 Strickplaner. I think it's a really great book. I highly recommend it if you're a paper planner person and you also want to keep track of things in your knitting life. I think it's absolutely fabulous. You can find it at her website, which is Strickmitch, and I think that she's on most of social media as Strickmitch. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I will answer it. Thanks, have a great day.